This is the Korg Kaoss Pad 3, and at this time it's kind of a pretty old device, but is it still worth having? Well, in this video I will try to answer that question for myself and hopefully for you too. So what it is, well, as it says, it's a dynamic effects and sampler, and it's kind of very much in that realm of like effects. So it has 12 volt DC power with the switch on and off, MIDI ins and out, pretty old USB, and a direct send and send switch, because you can use this in two ways, or at least the way that Korg has intended this to use it in two ways. So either use it as a send and return effects, or like a direct to a mixer or from a mixer. It's kind of an end of chain type of thing. And then phono, line in and out. Up front it has an input. This is, I think, a line input, or you can eventually change it to a line or a mic. A SD card, and a headphone, of course, with the corresponding volumes. And the main piece is here. It's kind of self-explanatory, I think. So right here we have input volume. This is kind of the input from the line, the phono line. This is kind of a dry and wet for your FX, which is all here. Here you have this little fader. This serves as both faders level for these samplers, and also this can be adjusting your effects releases. So that is kind of going into the shift button. Hold to kind of hold your effects. Of course, these are the four sampler banks, and then here we have a program button to kind of change the effects and everything. BPM, tap tempos, auto detect, reverse, mute, and then here is for sampling. Here you have the switch for mic and line input for this input right here. And then you have a little peak indicators when your input is peaking. Now, unlike something like maybe an SP404, the shift does sub functions, but it's not as like complicated as the SP404, because on the SP404 you have to like shift and a whole lot of button combination. But on this, the shift is kind of explained here. So for example, this level faders, right now we just faders for these banks, but if you put shift, then it becomes secondary function. And of course, the main piece is this X and Y pad. I think this is a pretty cool way to implement effects configuration. For example, if I take an example on like Logic's remix effects, I think this Logic remix effects is of course newer, sorry. But for me, at least, this kind of makes a lot more sense. This pad kind of gives like a tactile way to do everything. Now, all of this is just like, these are just the buttons, but inside it has many other things. It has a synth engine. It has a drum pad, like a drum samples. I think the best way to kind of showcase this is putting it together with one setup that I really like. This has been one of my favorite combination of gear so far. A lot of consideration for the SP404 is like it's an effects box. Although it's not wrong, I personally feel that saying that the SP404 is an effects box kind of reduces what it can be. For me, it's more of a drum box than an effects box. But of course, the effects box or the effects side of the SP404 is great, legendary. But for me, I see it more as a drum box. So like using this as only an effects box kind of reduces everything that kind of makes it what it is for me. The Kaoss Pad is also an effects box and also a sampler, But for this, I kind of see this more as an effects unit rather than like a sampler or a groove box compared to the SP. Now, while I was making this video, I think Korg just released like a reiteration of the Kaoss Pad. I don't have much opinion on that device, but I know that, or at least that kind of shows that this line of product is memorable enough for Korg to launch something years after. So yeah. So there are a few things that I really like. For example, there is I think this is like a beat crusher. I think this ND10 thing. This is like a beat crusher kind of distortion. I really like texture because without it, the beat sounds alright, but it kind of lacks a little bit of texture. So let's try to add some texture. See, that's the stuff, man. That's really nice. It's too much though. So let's try to dial it down a little bit. And of course you still have SP404 effects. But there are a lot more effects in here. These are kind of my presets, or at least preset that I was kind of trying to test. This is the beat crusher like effects, and I have a lo-fi. No, this is a repeater, I think, beat repeater. And then I have a low pass filter. This is kind of a low pass and a looper. I'm not sure what it is. Oh, it's just a looper. My bad. And I have a delay. There is a little bit of tail, and as a matter of fact, most of these effects has a little bit of tail, kind of like that, like the effect doesn't stop right there. I have a flanger. I know this is the mute, if you wonder why I keep pressing it. Reverb. And the synth, I do kind of like the synth part. I think the synth is okay. Maybe has some potentials. This is synth 1. It does have some. I do see some like use for the synth. One use case would be like a monotone delay type of effect, so like that, like rising effect. There is like some white noises as well. But yes, it's a pretty cool one. I think if you're primarily looking for a Kaoss pad that mainly synth related, I think there is the Kaoss oscillator, I think it's called. So that is more suited for for a synth. Let me try to kind of show the sampling part. This is also kind of cool. So I have a beat. So if I want to record this beat in one of these pads, I just hit sample, and then it allows me to sample up to a certain extent of bars. So it is up until 16 bars. Of course, as low as 1. For this one, let's say I wanted to record 8 bar, and then when I'm ready, I just punch it in. Now there is a few ways you can, because this does looping by default, and it also does kind of one shot. So this is a one shot that I just recorded, because I don't know if you've noticed, but when I did the recording, these lights were lighting up as I progressed to the 4 bars or to the 8 bars. So then when it reaches the end, it becomes a loop. But if I stop the recording before it ends, then that's when it becomes a one shot. So if I want to resample this, what I can do is I can do a shift and then resample. Then it's waiting. As you can see, it's progressing. Right now it's empty because I didn't play anything. But let's say I want to record this, what is coming out of this, with the effects on the Korg. Let's say this beat crusher. It's like this. Let me kind of adjust, and then let me wait. Now it became a loop. The loop was not too good, but you know. But yes, it recorded with the effects in, so that is kind of the idea. So yes, of course, with this kind of resampling and sampling and resampling and looping in one shot, you can eventually resample what is from this, adding other things into this, and then going to C and D and things like this. So yes, that's the Korg Kaoss Pad KP3, for me at least. I really like it. I really like it. Of course, I got this used. The guy that handed this over to me was nice enough to have like a Velcro in the back on the bottom. I think that would be useful at some point. Like I said, does it still make sense to have it? For me, yes. I see this more as an effects chain, end of chain effects, with all of these effects, crazy effects, the delay, the filters. The synth, maybe I will try to find a way to use it, but just the effects and maybe the sampling, the resampling method, I still kind of trying to get used to it. But as far as just the effects, it's great, man. I really like this. So yes, like I said, this is a very good combination, I think, the SP and the Korg. But also another thing is maybe a live set, or even like just to process stuff into Logic or into the DAW. Yes, many things come to mind, man. Do we have one? Well, I mean, I've read some forums, and like opinions tends to be a little bit sparse when it comes to the Kaoss Pad. Some love it, some doesn't really seem to care too much about it. But yes, what about you? And also, what do you think of the new one? The one that just came. I think it kind of tried to mimic the SP404 in a sense. But yes, thank you for watching, and then I'll catch you in the next one.